right, everybody. Hello, hello. We're at convening number 4 today. Wanted to elevate really quickly and orient you guys as we settle in for convening number 4 today. We will be recording today's session. That is a concern of yours. If you have any challenges with that, please let me know and see me after. I'm going to generate our agenda for our time today. Super excited to spend some time in community with you guys and cannot wait to hear what you guys have come up with for your little bets and what the process has been like for you. We're orienting now. We're doing some announcements. Next up, we'll hear from our wonderful, lovely Chandra Green to welcome us, connect us, and ground us before we hear from Mr. Jonathan Santos Silva, who is going to be talking with us a little bit today about reflection and iterating on our little bets and what that process has meant for all of our teams thus far. And then we'll have an introduction from our data improvement coach, Ms. Melissa McCoy, who will share more about what her role will be for teams in this cohort. And then we'll have some closing and next steps. We can do the next slide. Thanks, Seth. To ground us in the goals of the Resilient Leaders Initiative, as we do every convening, I will work with organizations and agencies to take the practices that have worked for other communities and implement them, those best practices in programs like your own. We will also commit to design best practices that other organizations are facing, and agencies and organizations will work to build solutions for their own organizations, and then we'll share those with other organizations like yours. Just to ground us again too in our timeline, wanted to share really quickly where we are in the scope of the program. We are almost at the halfway point, which is super exciting. We are in phase 2 now. Congratulations. I'm seeing some snaps, some celebrations for you guys making it through the first phase of this program. It has been a lot of things, chopped with learning, fun, and just really powerful impacts to happening with your community. So we thank you for being here with us and continuing the program. And today we're at convening for reflecting a little bit. And today's learning objectives really quickly. Teams will spend some time in community and reflect on your first little bet you created. Teams will also define and build another little bet. So we'll spend some time doing that together in our breakouts today. And lastly, teams will understand the data evaluator role and process for little bets data collection. So those are our objectives for today. And now I'm going to turn it over to the lovely, illustrious Chandra Green for our welcome and connection and grounding. Thank you, Chandra. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Courtney. It is wonderful to see you guys again. Again, welcome to Convening 4. We are so excited. I just want to really bring us in our space together and ground as we get started, as we want to focus and be present. So let's do a little bit of a connection. So I'm going to have Seth bring up the next slide. I'm going to talk about it, and then we're going to go to full group so we can kind of see each other while we do this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a fruit. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that fruit, bring that fruit to your mind. And then I want each of us to describe our fruit. We're not going to say what it is. We're just going to describe it as if the rest of us are already familiar with it using our 5 senses. And then I want you to sense into what you notice in your body as you talk about this fruit or as you imagine eating this fruit, right? And I'm going to start. So Seth, if we can go to big screen, just so we can really connect with each other. I'm going to start, and I've had more time than you, so I'm always willing to put myself out there. I'm going to start and describe my fruit with you, and then I'm going to pick the next person to go, and we'll just go like that until everybody has had a chance to share their fruit. Okay, so I'm going to start. My fruit is red. It's really, really juicy. I just had it yesterday. It's a little bit of a crunch when you bite it, but it's a soft crunch. It's really sweet if it's really in season. And for the most part, you can really only get the really sweet, juicy ones in the summertime. So I've had my first one yesterday. It was delicious. I can still imagine it now being all over my face, dripping down my arms, but so delicious. And I really, really enjoyed it. So that is my fruit. And anybody at any time in the chat can put in what you think the person's fruit is. So if you think you know what my fruit is, share it in the chat. And while we're doing that, I'm going to pick the next person, and I am going to choose Tara Harrington. And yes, my fruit is watermelon. I just have to tell you that.
Well, on that theme, I think that might be my son's favorite fruit. So I picked his next favorite fruit, and it is yellow, white-ish, and is soft and very sweet. You can use it to bake, and it is also pretty filling. Do you know what fruit I'm talking about? If it's a yellow and it's sweet and you love it.
Is it an orange? Is it a lemon?
Do you love lemons?
Yeah.
Oh. Apparently he loves lemons too.
A banana.
It's so fun. Yes, and banana pudding. I will call on Ashley. Ashley Glover.
Okay, Chandra took mine. So I will go with my fruit is green and it's white on the inside, and it's like it's a crunchy, hard to eat, and they're like my favorite out of all the options you can choose. And y'all were guessing that right, the Granny Smith apple. Oh, I'll choose Mary.
Mary, we can't hear you. I can choose someone else while Mary tries to get her volume going. Let's go with Courtney Richardson.
Look, I was about to get a big gulp of coffee, so you caught me right on time. Okay, I am. Let's just see. Okay, this particular fruit feels pretty smooth to touch on the outside. It's quite a bit of work to get to the little beads and citrusy goodness on the inside. This is actually a fruit that I don't partake in often because of the difficulty. I like my food to just be super easy to get to, want to go hammer time right away. But this fruit has, again, you peel it, you get to the beads on the inside, and you pluck them out individually. They look like little bubble balls. And when you bite down on them, there is citrusy, almost sour but sweet goodness that comes out. And they can be dark purple or dark, like a darkish brown, depending on where they are in the spectrum of their fruit life. Oh, and you got it. Pomegranate. There you go. Yeah, pomegranate is really good, Ashley. It might be something you might want to try as you're developing your pregnancy taste buds. So definitely try it. It's good. I am going to choose, let's see, who's in here? All these lovely faces. And want to invite folks to get on camera too, if you can. Let's go with Victor. Hi, Victor.
Hey, my fruit can fit inside of a closed hand. It at the top of the fruit is a green stem. Can be straight. Sometimes it's curved, really tiny. And at the bottom of the green stem, where it connects to the fruit itself, it has oftentimes leaves that go around and almost form a circular collar, like that you might find in Britain in the 1800s for some of the outfits that some of the people would wear in courts. It is red and often looks to me like our picture of a heart. It moves out to the side away from the leaves and comes down, connecting at the bottom. It has little dimples and indentures, almost like a golf ball, inside of which are little tiny seeds. It's one of the few fruits that has seeds on the outside. It can be hard or soft depending on where you hit, when it's picked and when you bite it, but it's supposed to be soft. Actually, the core tends to be more white, whereas as you go further out, when after you open it up, it's more red. Oh, should I stop? Because when people write it, I don't know when we're supposed to stop. It grows close to the ground.
I think they put it in the chat. Is it a strawberry, Victor?
It is strawberry. I just got excited,
Okay.
because
I
it's
love
that
the
time of year.
description, by the way.
Yeah. How about Melissa McCoy?
Sure. I just got a little thing pop up that said my internet connection is unstable. So make some noises or make some waves at me if I fade out. Okay, my fruit cannot fit in the palm of your hand. It has a kind of a thick skin. And the skin changes colors. There are different varieties. The inside is very sweet and juicy. And when they're ripe, I think all the time, the flesh inside is orange. It is, they can be kind of tricky to cut or peel. Let me see if I'm getting any guesses. Nope, no guesses yet. Okay. No, it is not an orange. Do I like them? I do like them. It's not a papaya. That might be pretty close. Not a grapefruit. It is tropical, a tropical fruit. Mango. Courtney got it. It is a mango. Okay.
I love those, Melissa. Those are my second favorite. I love those. I'm going to say, Melissa, if you have somebody in mind you want to choose, I'm going to go ahead and let you choose them. And then we're going to have maybe about 3 more shares. So if there's anybody on the screen that wants to share your fruit, raise your hand so we can call on you. But after this next person, we're going to do maybe 3 more just to save for time, because we have so much to get to. I know we're having so much fun with this. So anybody who wants to share, I want to give you a time to share. So throw your hands up if you want to share. Otherwise, we're going to do 3 more.
All right. I saw Jaime. I see a few more.
Dr. Jaime would be great.
Okay.
I can go. So my fruit is often mistaken for a vegetable. It is dark on the outside and green on the inside. It is packed with unsaturated fats. It is an avocado. Good job. Sorry, who had their hand up? Was it Chuck? I'm gonna go with Chuck. All right, go for it, Chuck.
Okay, mine is probably the smaller cousin to kind of what people might expect me to say. So you can smell this fruit sometimes when you walk into a room. It's fragrant, it's citrusy, it grows on trees. Oh, right out of the gate, Dr. LaShonda. Wow. Clement, yes, there we go. Clementine.
I love that. And because Dr. LaShonda is so good at that, we got to finish with her. We got to have Dr. LaShonda Washington take us home with this activity. She's so good at the guessing.
Oh my goodness. Well, one of those was my fruit. So let me think of one that we haven't had. Oh, here we go. So I'm thinking of a fruit that doesn't have a definitive shape. It's small at the top though, and then it kind of gets curvy at the bottom. The skin is smooth. The inside is an off-white color and grainy texture. There you go. They got it.
I love that, love that, love that. And if there's anybody else before we close out that wants to share, I'll let you share. Otherwise, this has been a great grounding and connection activity. Now I'm hungry and I do have a little watermelon left, so I'm gonna go and dig that out. Thank you guys for participating. This has been great. And now that we've grounded and we're all smiley and probably a little hungry too, let's get started.
I don't necessarily want to share. I just want to check my sound. Is it working now?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. I had to take the headphones off, but okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you, Mary. And next up, we have Jonathan Santos Silva, and he's going to talk to us about the reflection and the little bets. Take it away, Jonathan.
All right, thank you. It's good to be with you all. You got me hungry too, shoot. Should have had packed up on fruits before I got to the computer. We're going to kick off today by reflecting on our little bets. And so I just want to ground us in remembering what little bets are. And put quite simply, they are a little bet is a concrete action taken to discover, test, and develop ideas that are achievable and affordable. All right. And so we call them little bets, not to be be dismissive, but because deliberately they're to be achievable and affordable. And so as we think about that, we're going to get into a quick breakout reflection to think back on what you did in our last session. Right. So here the exercise is quite simple. As a team, you're going to take 1 to 2 minutes to list your 3 insight statements and design challenges from convening number 3 post work. Right. So if you have your template up and you go to slide 2, you should already have some of those done. So you're going to pull those over. We're going to take 7 to 8 minutes to summarize your little bet from the post work using slide 3 in the template. Right. So kind of distill all of the great things that you did and learned into that into your template, and then each team will share this summary whole group when we get back in here. All right, so that the purpose of this is just to get regrounded in where you were. It's been maybe a while. You've done a lot of things in between, so you can see here on the screen. You're gonna on the left your insights and right design challenges connected to those insights, and then on the next slide. You're going to help us kind of summarize what you did and what you learned from your little bet. Okay. Any questions about that? Oh, and then just kind of as like a helpful call out, if coaches will go into the breakout rooms with the teams and assist with note taking, that way folks can just kind of riff and kind of put themselves back into where they were when they were conducting and learning through the little bit. That would be wonderful support. Any questions about this opening reflection? All right.
And I'm just putting the finishing touches on the breakout room. Just give me 1 second.
When you get into your template, you'll see drop an image in to represent your little bet. If you actually have a real picture, great. But if not, go to Google or whatever your favorite search engine is and throw in some keywords. It doesn't have to be like actual live footage or not live footage, but it has to be actual footage. Just something to help us kind of get with you in the moment and kind of put ourselves behind your eyes, so to speak. Looks like breakout rooms are ready. So when you're ready, just click on breakout rooms on the bottom of your screen in the toolbar, and then find your team and join. And we'll hopefully be able to beam in some time check so you know where you should be in your process.
We're gonna let you guys go to a 10-minute break so we can use the restroom, get a snack, do whatever we need to do. I just want to get everybody a chance to come back into the room. Everyone's here. We're gonna do a 10-minute break. It is, what time is it? It is 12 after. So 10 minutes, we'll be back here and ready to go. Okay, take us away, Seth. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's 222. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your break. Next, Jonathan is going to talk about building from your little bets.
All right. Just as again, to pre-frame where we're going, we're gonna start working on our little bets, but we're also coming up on time. And we want to honor and respect that this is time that you have made sacred for this, but then there's things you got to do. So what I'm going to try to do is edit myself, which Courtney knows is hard for me. I love to talk so that you have the most time to be in group. All right. So very quickly, the next slide, we're talking about responding to feedback. And we're not talking about feedback from your end users, your clients, the people that you serve, where they might be sharing something that is difficult to hear, right? That's important. We need that. We need their honesty. We need to be open to that. We're talking about folks who might be outside of the folks that you're serving, who may give you feedback to discourage you. All right, so we're going to advance. This is a quote from, a friend of mine calls him Uncle Jimmy, James Baldwin, who says, those who say it can't be done are usually interrupted by those doing it. And this is just a reminder. Now, again, not when you get something that may feel a little difficult from someone you serve, that is coming from a spirit of love, they want you to grow and improve. This is not for them, but this is for those who, when you share an idea that is visionary and perhaps transformative, and they can't understand it, they're not ready for it, and they try to discourage you for their lack of vision. Just remember what Uncle Jimmy said. And then we're going to continue. Let's advance to slide 23. We're going to go into breakout rooms to talk about our second little bet. And I want us just to remember some of the design elements of a very solid little bet. Are we stuck, or am I just stuck? It looks like I'm still looking at myself on the slide. Oh, there we are. Perfect. First one is make ideas tangible. All right. The purpose of this is to make ideas tangible. It's also to solicit meaningful feedback from those that we serve. It's to learn quickly, limit investment of time and money. Remember, that was something that we saw from both Eastern Star and UCP. Try many ideas quickly. We already did one. This is number 2. And reduce emotional attachment. And by that, we just mean we don't want to spend days and years or months working on this and get really wrapped up in it and then get feedback that's difficult to hear. So this is about a spirit of rapid innovation. And just very quickly, we have an example, but we're going to just skip to 25 because you know what a small bet is. You want to start with your what do you call it, storyboard, and have a clear beginning, middle, and end. This is an example where we're describing it, but yours, you want to have pictures. You want to have pictures that simplify it, as well as titles and some words of description, but we don't want it to be this word heavy. And so on slide 25, we're going to break out into session 3. And this is where you're going to build your second little bet. So it starts with using the same Jamboard template from Convening 3. And we're just going to ask you or your coach to make a copy of it and then just rename it Convening number 4 a little bit. So you can see that on your screen. You're going to make a copy of this. Step 2, using your new copy, spend, and I'm saying these times, but we may be a little accelerated. We're going to try to broadcast to keep you on track. You're going to use about 45 minutes to select your next top idea for the new little bet based on the brainstorming session that you did in the post-convening work, all right? So you probably already have some top ideas. What's the tippity top? That's going to be your next little bet. After that, step 3 is to take 10 to 12 minutes to storyboard that idea. Again, so we want to be creative. Use your, Google or whatever your favorite search engine is your friend. Look for images. And this is for internal communications. So don't worry about whether or not it's a copyrighted image or whatever. Just use the image so it helps you communicate. We're not going to make money off of this, so that's okay. And then finally, and then in step 4, if you haven't had the time to hold the brainstorming session post convening, use slide 5 in the template to reach out to stakeholders to schedule a brainstorming session between now and session 5. All right, so those are the steps. All right, so start with identifying the best idea storyboarding that as your second little bet. And then if you haven't had a brainstorming session, take some time to think about who would you want to invite into your brainstorming session. Coaches, again, we're really counting on you to support with note-taking and facilitation, light facilitation. And then if time allows, we will have a chance to share your little bet in a small group, not in a whole group, but in a small group, if time allows. But we want to prioritize your time working together because we know how hard it can be to coordinate 4 to 5 people to get together off convening. So any questions about designing your second little bet here in this breakout? Perfect. So when the breakout menu reappears, jump into your group. And if for any reason you need support, text or jump back into the main room. And like I said, we may pop in to help anyway, but if you need us, come on out here, we'll be here.
How long should I put on the timer for this one?
Let's give them about 10 minutes, 12 minutes, actually. Yeah, because they're not going to get the full time here. So let's say we'll come back. Uh-oh. Can y'all hear me okay?
It was choppy for a
It
second.
was chopping up.
Is that better?
Yes.
Jamila and Megan, you guys, are you there? Because we need you to add yourselves to your rooms. If not, Steph can help you with that.
Yeah, they're assigned to their room. They just haven't joined.
Okay. Perfect. There we go. All right. So when they come back, we'll have to turn them around quickly so they can get, I'm just concerned about time now. And and I can forego my sessions because I'm going to follow up with an email anyway for that. But we want to make sure we get Melissa's time in. And I will jump into wherever she is to name that for her, unfortunately. Time is these things are funny because it's either you're like right on time or like ghastly behind. So I'm not sure, I don't know what to do for that, but I think about that as we continue to build these each time, and maybe we needed more time for the connection. We might need more time on the front end. So want to give that the space it deserves too, for sure.
Great.
But they seem to be okay with the agility of bouncing in and out as I'm checking, engaging the room. So I think we're fine and still want to be mindful of time. So
For sure. And one path would be, I think I got a 12-minute timer going. If we gave them a couple more minutes, that would bring them back at like 12:45. And then one option would be to scrap the peer feedback and say that we're going to give feedback in groups. Like if you or I wanted to join their weekly meeting, or like you'll get feedback in your weekly meeting space. And then it would just be Melissa shares and then you close it out.
yeah, I think that could work. Because I think the beauty of all these breakouts is they've done all of this before, so nothing is new that we're like sacrificing, right? And so there will be opportunities as they continue in their post-convening work to do these things. So I think that can work. But I'm just wondering how we want to, do we want to just skip all slides 26 through 29? How do we want to do, what do you think, Seth?
Yeah. I wonder if Jonathan could just, that could be his closeout almost, like as you, and maybe it's the, and I can, if he's back in here before the end, I can share it, but maybe his closeout is like this, you know, we're going fast, it's meant to be uncomfortable, discomfort is good. Here's a advice I'm closing with as Jonathan of like ways you can go get feedback from people around your little bet. Like, you know, make sure to ask people to tell you like what they heard or see, what they wonder, what they encourage. You know, when you're seeking feedback, talk less and listen more. Don't oversell it. Don't over-explain it. And then just questions to ask yourself as you keep, you know, you're going to be creating many little bets as the program keeps going. So you always want to ground in like, does this provide clarity? Does it address root causes? Does it share a solution? And that could be kind of his like wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, that works. And we could just name that we made that adjustment in the moment, just so it doesn't feel like a breach of some sort that we didn't follow things to the letter.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna jump in wherever Jonathan is, see if what he's sharing, and then have him come back to us for a second.
He's in Wilson DSS.
Yep, I'll be right back.
I think that's so much fun, how you pop around. I'm gonna pop in there and get him and I'll pop right back.
It makes me think of those Marvel movies where like the superheroes are like coming in.
Yep. Me too.
I'm just popping in and out. I don't know if y'all.
Yeah, we needed you. Courtney went to go find you.
Okay.
So now we'll just have to wait for her to come back.
Okay. Yeah, well, she found me and then she was just chilling. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I came back out. So sorry, my bad.
No, sorry, you're doing great bouncing. With time, Jonathan, we were talking about potentially you could do these feedback slides, just saying like, hey, making an adjustment in the moment to be respectful of your all time. Like, and then you could close by just sharing, here's like advice on for you all seeking feedback within your org or with people you serve.
Okay.
And then
so kind of, if I'm getting it right, remind them about what makes good feedback, but then kind of set them off to get that elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just say, and it could be like, you know, out of respect for y'all's time, we want to end on time today. So, and then other things we can, in their team meeting space, we can provide this feedback or like get them feedback when they're meeting as like individual teams. And then just the overall message of like, you know, you got many shots at little bets. Like we're going to, you know, we have many months of the program left and you're going to keep doing this process of like building empathy, brainstorming, defining a little bet, testing it, and then like seeing what you learned and either going deeper with that or like trying a new little bet.
Okay. And so just to clarify, when they are doing their individual meeting times, would that be something they would need to invite y'all to if they want feedback, or are you already part of those?
The second or the first would be best.
Okay, cool. Sounds
One
good.
more thing to name too, and thank you for being flexible here, Jonathan, and everybody.
Oh, you know me, I'm a roll with it.
Yeah. Hold on, let me turn my camera back off because I'm getting some feedback. So I'm gonna say, oh goodness, I think I lost y'all. Uh-oh.
We're here. Can you hear us, Courtney?
Yeah, I can now. Now I forgot what I was gonna I forgot what I was gonna say. Feedback, we're talking about feedback strong a little bit. Yeah, if I think of it, I re-elevate it, but oh, I know. Analysis paralysis. Somebody that's somewhere in something I saw was, oh no, that was our group coaching agenda, right, Seth? So that might be a good way to like close us out too. Don't get caught up in over analyzing what you're doing. The point of this is to go fast. Don't be paralyzed by your analysis. I thought I liked that term. So maybe we can say something, speak to that before we close them out too.
Wait, so is that, you want me to do that before, or do you want that to happen at the end when you close it? Okay.
Courtney, if you feel good with that message, you could say that as part of your closing.
Yeah, definitely. That works. Cool. And so we're bringing them back at 45. So they have what, 5 minutes now?
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. Man, this one flew. I didn't think I would realize that much of a difference between 2 to 3 hours, but it's a big difference.
It really is. It was felt like we was on, we, instead of like, usually it feels like we kind of build
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it was like we was already coming down the slope already from the beginning. From the moment we was, even the fruit, from the
Yep,
fruit, we
coming
were
in
like,
hot.
oh, sorry, we can't do all y'all on the fruit. We going.
Love it. Love it.
I think
These
that'd
are
be interesting.
pros.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting, Courtney, to see if they have specific feedback on timing, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how everything's already scheduled in advance, but
Yeah.
for the next cohorts, like, do they like the 2 hours? Does that feel snappy and kind of like good and they can still have the rest of their day or whatever? But that would just be interesting.
Yeah, I can frame that. That's a good framing for the invitation to complete the convening feedback survey. So yeah, definitely good to elevate.
Let me ask y'all this real quick. Like 2-3 weeks ago, I happened to be on the phone with 2 different folks from North Carolina, and it was like 91 degrees, and they were like, "It is not usually this hot this early. It's hot and humid, and you don't know what to do with it." And one of them was like, "As soon as this meeting's over, I'm going to the pool." And then like the next, it was like a Friday. Then the next day, Saturday, Sunday, we were blazing 91 degrees. Like it came right up. Is it staying hot down there still? Are y'all? Is it?
Well, it's
staying-
90 degrees today. It's 90
Ooh,
degrees
Lord Jesus.
today.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
it fluctuates though.
yeah, it was kind of cool. Like last night and the night before, we had really cool evenings, which, if I'm being honest, that's how I prefer my summer evenings, to be kind of cool after the sun goes down. I'm not really for hot, humid nights. So yeah, but it's been roasting, like roasting. And I've been inside a lot.
It makes me, I'm wondering if y'all are really kind of our preview, because it feels like
Maybe.
at least this year, what y'all get, we get after. It seems like it's been coming that way.
Well, if we're
Yeah.
your preview, Jonathan, expect to be in the 90s for the next week.
Oh Lord.
We were 88 yesterday, 91 today, and then we do dip a little bit, but then we're in the low 90s.
Yeah, because see, today's creeping up, and it's supposed to creep up for tomorrow. So see, we're getting it like a day after y'all.
Yeah.
We got to get air conditioning put in this house.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I'm one of those people, I refuse to do air conditioning. I never turn on the air conditioning. So
Really?
when my daughter comes to visit me, she's like, "Mom, it's a sauna in here. Like, I'm gonna die." I'm like, take off some of your clothes, open the window, turn on the ceiling fan. I do not do air conditioning.
You're like, that's how my mother.
World problems.
My mother would vibe with that. I think the only reason she has air conditioning is because my father is like the opposite, like a polar bear. He wants it cold, and he is miserable. Like he was taking multiple showers. If it's hot and muggy, he's like, yeah, he's horrible. He hates it.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sitting in here and my daughter's like, "You're sweating, mom. You're sweating." I'm like, "No, it's just a little sweat. It's okay."
It's just, no, I'm glowing.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know. I'm okay with it. But I'm one of those people, if I sleep with in air conditioning, one of two things are going to happen. I'm going to wake up with a sore throat or earache. That's what air
Really?
conditioning does to me. Yes. So
Really?
I
Yeah, that
don't.
happens to me if it's too cold for sure.
I am, I appreciate like trying to spend more time in the natural elements because I believe that's, God made the earth this way.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go through cold and warm and everything. So I try to do that, but sleep is another. I like it to be cold, sleep.
Yeah,
And,
see,
and
I
I
can't.
would have put like a blanket on. I don't want to be sweating. Oh,
Yeah.
especially because we kind of have the family bed situation where my little ones still don't have boundaries. So you go to sleep
Right.
just alone, and then you wake up with kids on you, and it's like,
That's so
ooh,
real.
yeah.
Yeah, super real. Look, we have a king bed, y'all. And my husband is 6'4". I'm like 5'9", 5'10"-ish, which is pretty tall for a lady.
Mhm.
And also very tall for a male, right? And then you have our child who is like in the 99th percentile for height. So it's like our king bed is literally an H. So here I am, here Jonathan is, and then Journey is horizontally laying this way. I'm like, so like I don't know if you do this, Jonathan, but like Jonathan and I, if we're not comfortable in the bed with her like rambling around, we will get out of the bed and go to another bed in the house to get some get some restfulness.
That's a great idea. The problem with us is that all the beds are occupied. So what I end up doing
Got
is
all those kids.
I know
Right.
I try to listen for the breathing, and when it
Oh, yeah.
really is deep, it's like,
You can get up and take them back. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
but they come back. The cat comes back every time, and I tell you, like about the H, it has to be genetic in the survival mechanism of a child to say, I'm going to take up as much space
Yeah.
as I don't know, because I can't understand. Like it has to be encoded because it's like, I'm like, you got to, like you said, we are a king bed, and you want to have the whole middle, and you are about this big. It doesn't make sense.
But how beautiful is it to have that mindset of, you know what, I'm going to take up as much space as possible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? That is a what do you want to call it? Like a metaphor, right? And more of our young people need to have that sense, like they are entitled to space.
Yep. Yep.
Everyone should be rolling back
Awesome.
30 seconds until they're kicked out.
Mhm. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm noticing the pattern that Dr. Mendoza Williams, that when the countdown comes on, he comes in. He's like, y'all ain't rapturing me out. I'm coming of my own accord. Okay.
You're too funny, man.
Rapturing me out. I've never heard that one. I like it.
Oh yeah, I forget what group that was I was in, and they said that, and I died laughing, and I have appropriated it as my own.
I like it.
All right, all right. It looks like we are approaching critical mass, and so what I hope is, although that you may not have received the full, 15 or 17 minutes that you thought you were getting, that you at least made some good headway. And I got to check a couple of the group, about half the groups, and it seemed like you were running. We're going to make a slight detour, and just in full transparency, this this is our 2-hour convening. We are ripping and running, and to your credit, you have been rolling with us. But we want to make sure we honor the time that you did give us and don't go over, and leave time for the next bit of activity. So we're not going to do giving effective feedback. We're not going to do a round of feedback here. However, I do want to revisit it so that as a potential optional homework assignment, if you go out to your community and seek feedback on your little bit, you may want to ground them in this. It might be even great to take a copy of the slides and share it with them. You could print out, like the master slides or whatever, and just kind of walk them through. And so again, giving effective feedback starts with some helpful stems. I heard, I see. It's a way to show what you appreciate, right? And we do want critical feedback. We want to get stronger, but it is beautiful when we can get something that says, I heard you. I saw the effort and the thought that you put into it. And then I wonder, questions help us, right? We don't want to always give a specific suggestion because we may not know all of the considerations, but the question can guide the team to a further thought. And then I would encourage And that's what we do want to give that advice or constructive criticism. So that's the first piece. The second piece is some do's and don'ts on seeking effective feedback. So talk less, listen more. This is why we use pictures. We want to just be able to go boop, 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 and then leave the most time possible for those in your community to give you feedback. Observe. It's important to look at how their facial expressions or body language are supporting what they say, right? If they give feedback, but for some reason it seems like there's possibly a disconnect, just ask a question, say more. Is there other, is there additional feedback you want to give us? And just remind people, don't worry about hurting our feelings. We really want to know what you feel, what you think about this idea. We welcome them to be open and transparent, and then design with the tester in real time. So like if they're asking questions or giving feedback, don't be afraid to interact with that feedback right now. And and say things like, we hadn't thought about it. Can you say more about that? How might that look here? Oh, and then start go back and forth and build with, and don't oversell, right? You don't want to try to convince them into your idea. If it's genuinely has a hole in it, you would rather know that there's a hole and address it than, oh, but come on, it's a good idea. Come on now, all that's not going to help you get to the best thing in mind. Over explain, over clarify. Here's the thing: if you can't quickly go through the storyboard, it may be that the idea is a little too complex. So you may want to go down a level even smaller in your little bit. Doesn't mean that idea is bad, but for the purposes of a little bit, you may want to go even to a smaller component of the idea, and then you can build your way back up. And so that's how we do seeking feedback. Last thing is something else you may want to ask the folks who you invite to give you feedback. So it could be, some and I'm just using the example of Eastern Star because I remember that one so well. The idea of bringing adults in to the ministry to support young people, right? To create more connections, adult and youth connections. If you invite these adults to be a part of your feedback session, and just advance me one slide further, you may want to ask them to wear these sunglasses or these lenses, so to speak, as they're listening to your little bit. Does it provide clarity, right? Are they clear on where you're going, or are they more confused? Does it address a root cause of the trauma or the pain point that you identified, right? Does it share a solution for the challenge? Sometimes we start designing and we don't realize that we've drifted. So this is a great idea, but it doesn't actually address what we set out to address. So make sure that they're looking at it with that lens, like, hey, Miss So-and-so, do you feel like this actually addresses our challenge? And then does it show a connection to the target population's needs? We don't want to do stuff just because it's fun or that it, is something we wanted to do if it doesn't actually address the needs. So just make sure that the folks that you invite to be in community with you and to give you feedback know that you welcome, not just hope that they would give you feedback on these, but that you actually are seeking and welcome them to give you feedback in these 4 areas. All right. And again, do not have to memorize all this. Take the slides with you, print them out, take a copy with you, and then have at it.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I think some of our ROI staff is available to pop into meetings and other things to help you and give you feedback. So you can always contact. Next, we're going to have Melissa McCoy, and she's going to talk about data, evaluating and introducing us to data analysis.
Wow. Yeah. Data. Woohoo. Everybody get excited, right? But hopefully I can make it somewhat interesting and quick, right, Courtney? I'm going to keep an eye on time. If I'm talking fast, it's because I am a fast talker and I am on a time crunch. So I thought I would lead off with kind of the main points. This is not going to be the data talk that you are maybe anticipating or are used to hearing. And a lot of it might sound like the opposite of what you are used to hearing. So I kind of carry a lot of these unpopular opinions, maybe in the data consulting world. My orientation to this comes from my training and work and coaching in continuous improvement, which is just another change approach, very similar to design thinking, rooted in the key principle of making small tests of change, little bets, and making big change, transformative change through these little bets. And through that work, I have learned a lot. And one of the biggest things is that the data analysts, the data wonks, as I like to call them, they have been intimidating and fooling us this entire time. I remember a time when I thought we needed a data analyst to tell us if every program was working. We needed an evaluator to come in and do an extensive evaluation, whatever that means. And eventually, through continuous improvement and using data in real time, in real ways, working with real people, I learned that the most meaningful data is almost always the simplest data. It is uncomplicated. And when it gets complicated, that means you are getting into the big data world and you are not in the data for improvement or data for change world, for change. So I kind of make that point twice. And then lastly, you are the expert of your context. And there is no evaluator, there is no data coach that is going to come in and without understanding what is in your head and your work, be able to tell you what you should be measuring. You all hold the key to that. And so as we begin working together, I will sit down and be asking questions and listening. And I'm listening for a few things. I'm listening for how we're going to connect these little bets to the unmet need that was articulated in your design challenge. I'm going to be listening for and asking things that might get at like the so what, so that we can figure out if we are making an impact. Just kind of like one quick point on this slide is kind of that last sentence there. Measures are the voice of the process, giving feedback to the team. So a lot of times in design challenges that I have been a part of, we do wonderful work, we build amazing prototypes and tests, and we pat ourselves on the back at the end, but we don't really know how much we should be patting ourselves on the back, like how well did we do? And so what we will be working through together is a measure that will give you, that will answer the question, how well did we do? So if we can skip to the next slide, so I can give some examples. Okay, and I'm going to fly through this one, but this is a picture of a whiteboard that sits in the office of the Reach Center at Word Tabernacle Church. And we have identified kind of the weekly data that drives their outcomes. But it's that shift away from this stuff we report annually to funders towards how are we going to know how well we're doing these things that we're trying out. So I just wanted to show you how simple this data can be. These are literally tallies on a whiteboard. And next slide. Flying through here. Okay, one of my pictures didn't come through. But so there it is. Okay, little delay. Okay, so we are also going to take that measure that we come up with related to your design challenge, and we're going to plot it on a run chart, a time chart that looks like this. And again, those digital ones, the electronic ones, they look kind of fancy, and I will make those for you, but it doesn't have to be complicated. All it has to be is you're comparing apples to apples, week over week or day over day. I've got one here where some, I think this was some teachers, percentages of students meeting their weekly learning target. They literally plotted it on a piece of printer paper with some Sharpie markers. But that is the meaningful measure that they were driving towards. And that is what you can use to tell your story, to talk to funders, to prove your impact. Yes, thank you, Dr. Mendoza-Williams. Simplicity works. And I have full confidence that we will land on a simple but meaningful and data-driven, action-driven measure for each of your projects. And I'm just really looking forward to diving in. This is where I get to like just nerd out and get into the weeds, and I can't wait. So I flew through that, but I'm going to kick it back to Courtney, and I'll look forward to getting to talk to you all more later.
Thanks so much, Melissa. And Melissa is here because people in last cohort said the biggest thing they wanted was a data expert like Melissa who could join a team meeting and help teams figure everything out about measurement and data, but not actually have to take on a lot of that work. So she will soon be your best friend in the program as you get further and further along with your different little bets. And then Courtney, if you want to close us out.
Yep, and thank you, Melissa, for sharing context around what you are going to work with teams on for the rest of the cohort. I think you're going to find our teams really engaged and just really amazing to work with. So can't wait to see what is birthed out of those relationships. Really quickly, we are moving through, and we want to be, of course, respectful of time in the end right at 3. So I'm going to breeze through these bad boys. And of course, as always, I will link all the instructions, action steps related to closing out today in an email summary to you guys after our convening ends. But really quickly, you have several tasks to complete before next convening. You're going to complete 1 to 2 more empathy interviews. We hope that you guys will have this due by the deadline suggested, but also use these as a guide. Don't get too caught up on the dates. We want you to be mindful of time so you can progress towards goals in a way that sets you up for success for our next convening. But we do realize that, people are going on vacation. People have, retreats that they're attending. Like there's a lot happening. Summer school is now in session for our educators. There's a lot happening. So feel free to, work towards these goals as best you can, but just stay in communication with myself, your coach, around what that looks like for your team. So you'll interview some more folks. You'll update your insights and design challenges. And all this is listed here, and it'll be in your template as well if you want to reference back to it. You also want to set up a 45-minute meeting with Melissa. Between now and next convening, I would urge you guys to schedule those with her as soon as possible to save space for the important work being done in those meetings. There's a link here you can access her calendar, so feel free to use that. And then we want you guys to come prepared with any new or updated little bits to convening 5. So one thing I want to leave you with for these instructions, whether you make a small adjustment to the current little bit you elevated here today, or whether you go in a completely different direction with a new little bit, I just want everyone on this call to just go wherever the process takes you. Certainly, get rid of any feelings around, overthinking your analysis portions of this. Analysis paralysis is real. Don't feel like you have to spend a lot of time thinking through a lot of the processes and details related to creating your little bits. Just go with the flow. Don't get hung up on the details because we're not at that point yet. These are just small ideas. And so that's the whole point of the process, to do things fast, to create ideas and test them quickly. And so we'll advance to the next slide as we close out. A few more announcements here and we'll close. If you could click a few more times to elevate that circle for me, Seth. Reminders. July 13th, we'll have our next convening 5 from 1 to 3. So mark your calendars for that. Continue holding those weekly meetings. It is essential that you guys connect in those team spaces. If you're not able to hold your meeting on the day you have prescribed, please work with your team coaches to make sure that those meetings are still happening that week. Wanted to elevate some winner chicken dinners, winner circle here for you guys. Ashley Glover, a complete gem. She was the first person to complete our phase 1 survey. Shout out to you, Ashley. Huge shout out to her and her team, because they doubled up on their winnings this week. So yeah, they were the first team to upload all their deliverables to the folder. We see you, we appreciate you. You guys should have gotten an email gift in your emails. And then lastly, rounding us out with winnings is ECC. They were the first team to complete phase 1 survey as a team. Love that for you guys. Thank you for the feedback. And we will use that to improve our programming between now and next cohort. Now and the end of the cohort. Action items, complete post-convening work as designed, and phase 1 convening summaries are available. So please share those. It will be a detailed account of each convening thus far. Please share it with your partners, your stakeholders, as you're positioning yourselves to do more little bits. If you want to share that with those folks, feel free, share it far and wide. We want to share the good word of what's happening in your groups. And this sharing those surveys, those summaries is a good way to do that. To stay true to form with what we usually do in each convening, here is our participant, our convening feedback survey. Take a picture of this on your screen if you'd like to leave any thoughts around how today's convening went. We're super curious to hear what you think about less time in our convenings, the 2 hours versus the 3 hours. We're also curious to see how you like the breakouts. Did they feel too jarring to go in and out? Do you want more time in breakouts? That type of feedback is what we want to hear in these types of surveys at the end of our convening. And if you need it, we will allow for some extra breakout time right here in a second if teams want to go back into groups to circle up on any final details as we close out. And then please share any closing gratitudes you might have on our social pages. We love to hear from you guys via social media, and we're trying to ramp up our efforts on that front. So if you haven't followed us, please do that. Find us on Facebook, Rural Opportunity Institute. And then on Instagram, our Instagram handle is @RuralOpportunity. So with that being said, I'll probably have Seth open up the rooms if teams want to circle back with each other before you convene for the day. If you do not need that time, you are free to enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you have any questions, please let us know how we can support you and continue the good work, guys. I see how hard you're working, and I realize what it takes to do this, managing work full time, managing families, and being engaged with the program. And we appreciate it, and we see you, so thank you. And we'll be here for a few more minutes if teams want to circle up.